Hey there, I'm Katie, and I'm itching to share a story that at first frightened me, but then turned my whole world inside out. My parents have always taken pride in the fact that I was a straight A student from my first year of school, and have been ever since. Teachers always loved me for that, and students respected me, for the most part. Why for the most part? Well, because there was this small portion of them who were actually intimidated by my odd sense of humor, or maybe my sarcastic personality. You see, even though I've been called an exemplary student forever, I've always loved fooling around and making sarcastic remarks. Usually, everybody just laughed at them. But there was this girl whose inadequate reaction to my comments just motivated me to upset her even more. It was out of my control. Her name was Zoe Collins. She was a tall, round-shouldered redhead with ugly braces. And I hated her so much. I couldn't walk past her without an evil comment about her. And every time she would run away crying. Geez. One day, the principal called me into his office. I was scared. I knew it had something to do with my behavior, but what exactly was it? I just sat there and didn't even dare to look at Mr. Derrickson in the eye. He slowly walked up to a window and put his hands behind his back. It was a silent torture because I was dying to find out why I was sitting there, and he wouldn't say a word. Finally, Mr. Derrickson turned around. He said that Zoe's parents contributed to the school a lot, whether it was a new piano for our music class or chemistry equipment for the lab. But now they wanted to transfer their daughter to another school because of the constant ridicule and taunting that she was going through. To be honest, I was happy I wasn't going to see Zoe again. But then Mr. Derrickson added that the moment Zoe's parents filed documents for her transfer, I was going to get suspended from school. My heart started racing. I couldn't believe what Mr. Derrickson just said. What? Me? Suspended? This must be a joke. I didn't know what I was going to tell my mom and dad, so I broke down. Of course, I knew all of this was my fault, and I had been warned earlier that there would be consequences, but not suspension. Then, Mr. Derrickson told me that I still had a chance, because he couldn't let these decent people down just like that. I wiped my tears, and I listened carefully. He said that when he spoke with Zoe's parents earlier that day, he asked them to give our school one last chance, and they agreed. They gave Mr. Derrickson 1 week, and if nothing changed, they would transfer Zoe. So, your task is to protect Zoe and help her feel comfortable in this school, said Mr. Derrickson. No way! I freaked out. How could I possibly protect somebody that I myself hated the most? He said that either I do it or I leave the school. On the way back to the classroom, I stopped by the bathroom to get rid of my puffy eyes from crying. I was washing my face and thought, of all students, why me? And then I realized why. Everybody in the class respects me, and no one will confront me, meaning I've got the power to change the situation that Zoe is in. When I got back to the classroom, the math teacher told us to divide into groups of 4. Mrs. Dillingham usually did that when she wanted to give us extra difficult problems and wanted us to collaborate to solve them. Every team leader could choose one person per turn. Usually team leaders chose smart and popular students in the beginning. The rest waited. Even smart but unpopular students like Zoe waited until somebody finally chose them to simply fill up the group. That must have been frustrating. I immediately remembered that Zoe was great at math, and in the next second, my plan was ready. I was one of the team leaders, and I called Zoe's name in the first round. My friends couldn't believe it. No one could. Zoe just stared with eyes full of fear. She was still annoying to me, but I did my best to look as welcoming and non-threatening as possible. Graceful as a baby giraffe, Zoe stood up, walked unsurely across the class, and sat next to me. Soon, after all the teams were formed, Mrs. Dillingham gave us the problems to solve. I told Zoe not to worry. When time ran out, It turned out that our team was the only one to solve all the problems. I told the teacher and the class that we managed to pull it all off thanks to Zoe, which was actually true. The other students cheered her on, and for the first time, I saw Zoe smile, and I felt kind of happy for her. This is how I started helping Zoe create a positive image for herself in the class. In less than a month, Zoe got noticeably more confident. She really changed a lot emotionally and physically. She's no longer that clumsy weirdo she used to be, and to my surprise, I don't hate her anymore. It's not like we became BFFs, but I can clearly call her a friend now. And I regret that I did all those bad things to her. I wonder how I could have been so cruel to such a nice and smart person like Zoe. Anyway, I'll do whatever I can to make it up to her. Oh, and by the way, Zoe's parents changed their mind about transferring her to a different school, meaning there's nothing I need to be afraid of. However, I was a little unsure of whether Mr. Derrickson was going to suspend me anyway, and I'm not even sure if Zoe's parents were going to transfer her at all. This might have been Mr. Derrickson's tricky plan. Who knows? Anyway, I don't regret it because I realize how wrong I was about Zoe. If you also regret doing something in the past, you can share it in the comments section below. Hit the like button if my story was entertaining, and subscribe to this channel if you want to see more of these in the future. Thanks for watching!